Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake and Fulton Caster with you as we will talk Royals baseball. We'll talk depth chart. We're going to hear from Clark Hunt. He's got some interesting comments about maybe what's going to happen in the future. We're going to hear from JJ Piccolo, and we are going to talk with Kellis Robinette of the Wichita Eagle. A lot coming your way today. As always, give us a shout on the text line, 785-272-9429. Let us know your thoughts as well on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line, 785-272-9429. Very simple, very easy. And Full, we're going to get right into it today.
Let's do it.
The Royals lost again. That's not the surprise. They lost 11-7, high-scoring affair there at the K. They're now 1-13 at the K. That's not great.
No, not ideal.
They're 7-23 on the year. But, Fulton, are you ready?
Sure.
The Royals season for me is over.
Thank God.
It is over. And I'd gone through the 5 stages of grief. I did. The denial stage, they started out 4-10, but I said, this isn't a bad team. This isn't a bad team. You know, they played some close games. This isn't a bad team. Then I went through the anger stage when, and that was a quick stage when they kept playing the same guys over and over again and not doing what was probably the smart thing to do. That was my anger stage. We all know that well. Now, it was bargaining. And that was when, hey, you know, the other teams are really good and the schedule doesn't set up well. And then the Royals beat the Giants in a series. And so that was the bargaining to myself, like, hey, they're going to turn it around. Then the depression stage set in when you realize that they had won 1 game at home in April. But now I've got acceptance. It is now over. I do not care about wins and losses anymore.
Good.
Does not matter. Because I was told this year that they were going to try to compete. So I will not be upset. The Royals season is over. No, period. End of discussion. If they lose every game the rest of this year, it will not affect me one bit. Not a single bit. If they win 1 game at home in the 2 months, I will not care about it. In fact, it happened before the game yesterday. So yesterday's game was actually a big success. Big success because I don't care about wins and losses anymore, which that sucks because that's what matters in sports. Like winning and losing when it comes to your team, right? I'm sick of losing. I am. It's been now 7 years of just nonstop losing. And what sucks is that it took only 30 games to get there. Not even 30 games, because right now they've played 30 games. But JJ Piccolo, I had a chance to talk to him before he met with the media. We'll get to that conversation coming up at the bottom of the hour. But then at the start of every homestand, JJ Piccolo meets with the media in the dugout, all that kind of stuff. And he was asked about the start of the season. And he was asked about the Royals season and wins and losses and then development. So here is what JJ Piccolo had to say.
So when you look back at the month, at the record, we're not excited about it. But I think we know this year is about evaluating and just trying to get better every day.
So if the GM of the team says that, once again, I'm going to play it.
So when you look back at the month, at the record, we're not excited about it. But I think we know this year is about evaluating and just trying to get better every day.
This year is about evaluating and getting better every day. Now, there's 2 things I want to get to that. That right there tells me that getting better every day and evaluating is more important than wins and losses, which is fine. I have no problem with that going forward, because now I know at least what the management of the Royals is looking at. They're not looking at wins and losses. So therefore, as a fan, I am not going to look at wins and losses. If they lose every other game the rest of this year, I will not care, because I have just been told right there that, it's not what they want, but.
So when you look back at the month, at the record, we're not excited about it. But I think we know this year is about evaluating and just trying to get better every.
This year's about evaluating. Okay, so this is now a full-on rebuilding year. It is a full-on, we are on to 2024. Do you agree with that? Yes or no?
Yes, that's the entire belief I've held since November of last year.
Okay. I was told by the Royals earlier this year that they are going to field a team to be competitive. That's why I've been so upset that they're not winning.
And I'll let you finish your thought in a minute. I am tired of us thinking that those two things are mutually exclusive. You can be about wanting to develop and still be trying to win. They are trying to win. In the process of evaluating their talent, they're trying to decide who is giving us the best chance to win. That's why Franmil Reyes is in Omaha, because in the evaluation of what was happening, they realized Franmil Reyes is not giving us the best chance to win. Like, these are not mutually exclusive things, and I am, to be blunt, sick and tired of everyone acting like they're mutually exclusive. You can say you're trying to be competitive. You can say you're trying to win games, while also still understanding we are also evaluating talent. The Royals are not just throwing out 9 guys to say, let's see what sticks. Like, they're trying to win.
Yes.
They're trying to put W's on a scoreboard, but they understand that that is not the paramount thing they are trying to do. They are not mutually exclusive.
As a fan of a baseball team, I want them to win. That's what I want them to do. And it's been too long for them from winning.
Yes.
As a fan, I want them to win. So when they don't win, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be frustrated.
And that's okay.
And now the GM told me yesterday that it's more about development. So now, as me as a person who wants his teams to win and looks at them, I go by the Herm Edwards model. You play to win the game, all right? And if you lose the game, that is the number one priority, is you lost the game. Okay. But now for me, that doesn't, I will not get upset anymore about wins and losses, because and you're not, they are mutually, not tied together. But the number one for me was winning. You told me you were going to win. Okay. This is what I expect. I expect a competitive team, and I expect you to win. Number 2 for me is then development. I want you to win. I'm sick and tired of developing. When the season started, I wanted to win. I was told that they are going to try to win. That's number 1. Development is number 2. That is the difference, at least for me and you, with this baseball team. Now, I understand, and they have showed with what they have said, that wins and losses is not the primary target. It's not. And that is fine. I want to know the expectations of, because expectations are different for every person. The expectations for the Royals was to be competitive. All right, I'm going to go with that, to be competitive. You're not now, and now you have stated that you are more interested in development and getting and he used this, getting experience for the inexperienced. He said he doesn't like the term young. He likes the term inexperienced. So we're trying to get experience. That is perfectly fine. Now that I know what your expectations are as a ball club, thus I can now understand. It would be weird for me right now on this day to get really upset, or on June 1st or July 1st to get really upset about the Royals' wins and losses when the franchise is not really that upset. I mean, they're going to say they're upset, but as you just heard, it's more so about development. And I have no problem with that. In fact, this is a great situation now because everything they do now should be involved with development. Every single decision that they make is not garnered to overall winning. It is overall development. And that is why I'm in a fantastic mood today and was last night, because the development of guys like Bobby Witt Jr. had some good at-bats. MJ Melendez hit a home run. Michael Garcia, 2 hits. That's fantastic. That is where I now am able to move on from the overall product, and now I can focus on the individuals, because the individuals are what matters and the development of this team. So that's refreshing. That's why I said, like I've gotten to the acceptance stage where, hey, this is a good spot to be in, because now I can watch the game more on a micro level instead of a macro level. I can get into more of your chase rates and stuff like that show, hey, you know what? This guy is improving a little bit. This guy is doing this on a different level. That's exciting to me. It's still a bummer that it only took 30 games to get to that point where, wow, we're already in the developmental stage, but that's okay, because you have to have realistic expectations. And realistic expectations are right now is this team sucks. Plain and simple. There's no other way to put it. When you're 1-13 at home and you've won 7 games, they stink.
Yeah.
But a lot of the guys who stink are not going to be part of the future. So
that's very true.
That's why, I'm excited for anybody that can help the Royals out in the future. To be honest with you, right now, on May the 3rd, Hunter Dozier should not be part of the team, because he's not going to be part of the team in the future. If you're talking about development, let's move on from Hunter Dozier. And that's honestly the last time that I'm going to bring it up. Well, that's a fault.
You'll bring it up again when he plays again.
I'll bring it up again, but I won't be upset at Hunter Dozier.
You'll be upset at management for putting him on the field,
because we're talking about development. You know what I mean? Michael Garcia should play a ton. A ton.
I agree.
Every single day he should play.
Yeah, I agree.
I love that. And you can kind of see that they started to do that. JJ Piccolo said yesterday, and I don't know if you probably touched on this. I didn't have a chance to hear the show yesterday. I was in Kansas City. Is they're moving MJ Melendez to the outfield full time for the next month. Brilliant.
Genius. The thing I've been clamoring for 3 months.
Fantastic. Do whatever is necessary to help improve the roster for 2024. That includes, Scott Barlow was good yesterday. Got 3 Ks. That's good. Scott Barlow is not going to be part of the Royals' success in the future. So I want them to trade Scott Barlow at some point in time this year. So I hope he's really, really good.
Yeah, you want Scott to be really good, so that way when he gets shipped off, you get a good return, which then in turn speeds up your process.
You bet. Yeah, this is
same thing with the Aroldis Chapman. I hope that boy keeps throwing 104.
Yeah, light them up, baby. Light them up. So that's where I am at right now. Is number one to me was winning up until yesterday at about 4:00.
Yeah,
it was. They were 7-22. That's why I was upset. That's why I wasn't happy, because I was told we're going to be competitive. You're not. Now we have switched it up. Now it is about development. All right. I don't care about the wins and losses anymore. In fact, that might help my pocketbook out a little bit more, because if you've bet against the Royals for 30
you've been very
games,
profitable.
You have won 23-7. You'd be 23-7 if
betting money lines against Kansas City.
Do you know how good and how much money you would have made?
You start pocketing a lot at that point. You start pocketing. Yeah.
That's where I'm at right now. So, Fulton, you will still care about wins and losses.
I will never not be affected by the Royals winning and losing. I can't turn that part of me off. But
you will be affected.
Yes. I can never not be, to use a double negative.
Yeah.
I will always be affected by the Royals winning or losing. That's just it's how I'm wired, and that's never going to change. For definitely worse than for better. I'm glad you've joined me and realizing that development is important and using those things as the positives. And it's unfortunate, and this is what I'll say. I know everybody is sick of the losing. I get it. I'm not going to tell any of you how to feel. Like any of you listening right now, I'm not going to tell you how to feel. Be as upset and done and moving towards apathy or whatever you want to be. The fact of the matter and the stark reality of the situation is this. The Royals have been in a state of rebuilding since 2017, when 18 was the true 100 loss year. Either way, for about, let's go 5 years. Here's what's going to upset each and every single one of you out there, but it is the reality of the situation. This is year 1 of a new rebuild. The fact of the matter is the Royals screwed it up. The Royals screwed up the first 4 years. Like, it sucks. It stinks. There are stronger words I'd like to use, but I can't because my bosses will be mad at me. They whizzed the first 4 years down the drain.
Including last year.
Yes,
Including last year.
18, 19, 20. So actually 5 years.
I don't count 20.
Yeah, the COVID year was fake. So 18, 19, that's a good point. 21 and 22. This organization whizzed it down the drain. And so that's why when people say this is at the 6th or 7th year of a rebuild, I would like us to try and frame it like, again, not to make it more positive, definitely not to make it more positive. It makes it more negative. This is a different rebuild. Because I've seen a lot of questioning already about, I've seen, and luckily it's not prevalent, I've seen comments on coaching already.
Yeah,
this coaching staff said 30 games, guys.
That's silly. That's it.
They've had 30 games.
This is all, this has zero to do with the coach. This is 100% on the player.
This is
100%.
This is organizationally the failures of Dayton Moore and Mike Matheny when he was employed through 18, 19, 21, 22. That is organizationally their failures. JJ Piccolo, Matt Cotrero, and his entire new team, this is year 1 of their rebuild. And I know that sucks to hear, and I know a lot of you are upset with that, and a lot of you might not agree with that opinion. That's what this is, though, because Matt Cotrero had 30 games with these guys. I can't say that we're in year 4 of a rebuild and put anything on Q or his coaching when I'm like,
no, yeah.
He said 30. Like, I can't put anything, like, yes, JJ Piccolo was Dayton Moore's right-hand man. As we've learned, JJ could have been kicking and screaming for everything. Dayton Moore, the final say on everything. Like, I can't rightfully say this is the 5th year of a JJ Piccolo rebuild. I can't. Because this is his first year. He gets to actually do whatever the damn he wants.
And what's funny is, I as it stands right now on May 3rd, this is the first year of the Piccolo Cotrero deal.
It's the first year of their rebuild.
But I don't know if it is the first year of their rebuild. Next year might be, because
and it could be. You're correct.
Who says they don't just say, wow, we are really down bad.
I mean, I've said,
and we ship off everybody, and it's a full bore reset. Now, I will disagree with you on that. Like you said, you can either agree or disagree with year 1 of the rebuild. I think you can agree with it, but also still be furiously mad.
No, I'm incredibly mad that I have to treat this as year 1 of rebuild, because it's my team whizzed away 4 years.
And this is why the Royals are getting no fans. None whatsoever.
No, you're
correct.
correct.
It's a great point from the text line. As a huge Royals fan, I'm tired of hearing of rebuilding, gaining experience, development, etc. I'm sick of hearing it. We have heard this for years. And that's the reason why the Royals had 11,000 people at the ball game yesterday.
Yeah. No, everyone's tired. And I don't blame any for being tired. I'm frustrated. My team has wasted 4 years of their organization's existence because they didn't do it right.
And that's why I think so many fans don't give a crap anymore about development. They just look they just look at the wins and losses as the barometer, because that's truly what we are all gauged on, is wins and losses.
It's a results-based business.
But if this were 2018 or 19,
everyone would be, it's how removed we are.
Exactly.
No, I know.
It's been 7 years of rebuilding. And that's where I am at the beginning of the year, because of, I was told we were going to be competitive.
And that's okay.
Now, wins and losses don't matter, but I'm a realist, okay? I know this team isn't going to be any good, but how can we go forward? Now, that's the biggest thing now.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to the 22 games. We got 1 month. the Royals gave me 1 month of, yeah, we care about wins and losses. And then now it's on to May. It's going to be May. Look at that. Wow, man. But good news. Let's develop some guys. Let's do it. Coming up next, we will briefly discuss that finally some NFL GMs are starting to figure it out. And then we'll hear from JJ Piccolo. Starting to see the light, something that the Chiefs saw back in 2016. This is great stuff from ESPN and Stephen Holder. He said here, do you remember in the draft that the Indianapolis Colts selected, what's his nickname going to be? Like, he's not Superman, but he's as big as Cam Newton. But the Colts took Richardson, the quarterback out of Florida. And it said, Ballard decided Richardson was the Colts' top choice weeks before the draft. Ballard shared privately with his stance about him a few months. The conclusion Ballard said was simple. All the available quarterbacks had noteworthy flaws in the Colts' view. So why not take the one who could be a grand slam? Wow, it finally took people till 2023 to realize you got to go for the big score, man. You got to go for it, especially in the AFC when you've got the Chiefs are the perfect example. They were winning the division. They were getting the 2 seed. They were hosting playoff games, and they were losing playoff games because they didn't have that dude. Alex Smith, good quarterback, not great one. So they risked it all on Patrick Mahomes. Traded a first-round pick, moved up 17 spot, and said, we're all in with this cat. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, truly is.
Going after the mediocre guy ain't going to work. Matt Ryan ain't going to win you anything anymore. Coming up, we're going to hear from JJ Piccolo. Guess on who the Royals pitcher and player of the month were?
Player of the month should be Vinny Pasquantino.
That is correct. Vinny Pasquantino is your Royals player of the month.
The pitcher of the month should be a pitching machine because that's what they were.
Well, there was.
Maybe you give Aroldis Chapman or Scott Barlow it. You should not give any of those starting pitchers a pitcher of the month award.
Okay, so who are you giving it to?
I'll give it to Aroldis.
It is Aroldis Chapman.
Okay, good for Aroldis. I'll give it to Aroldis.
And those are the only two potential options. I suppose you could give it to Edward Olivares, but
that last run he just had was pretty awesome.
He also misplayed another ball in the outfield yesterday.
Yeah, well, listen, I'll be brutally honest. I'm no longer mad at Ollie when he misplays a ball in the outfield because he just should not be playing the outfield, but he has to. He has to, and I get it, but Ollie's not an outfielder. Olivares is not an outfielder. That is the stone cold truth and reality of the situation.
He's more of a fourth outfielder where you put him out there just, his role should be fourth outfielder DH type of situation.
Honestly, yes, that would be very nice.
You know what I mean? But they don't have that at this point in time. So, but yes, that is the Royals player and pitcher of the month for the month of March and April. For those of you wondering, the official attendance number yesterday was 10,487. The attendance number for the Royals at home. Will it be higher or lower than that today?
Lower.
Wednesday. Tuesday's normally the bad attendance day. So I'm going to say it's higher than 10,480. The question will be tomorrow. What are they going to get for a day game against more than likely 7-24?
Spoiler, not going to be great, Bob.
Are we thinking single digits?
I don't know if we had single digits because Baltimore's at least a good enough team that there might be some random O's fans in the area who might want to go see their team.
I mean, we were only 4,888. 488 guys away from single digits.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, afternoon game, this bummy team, Jordan Lyles on the bump.
Yeah, I know. It's not even Greinke or Singer.
Get Zach Greinke tonight. He'll throw some more batting practice.
Well, he's at home.
Oh, that's true. Sorry, he's at home. He's going to pitch like a Cy Young.
See Fulton. See?
It's why I love Zach Greinke. I love him to death. I can't call him a good pitcher right now.
Well, no,
because his ERA. Do you know how drastic his ERAs are right now?
It's not good.
I looked this up yesterday. His ERA at home 3.6. You take that. That keeps you in a ball game. His ERA on the road over 9.
Platoon him.
I'm not saying not to do that.
Well, this was the second lowest number for the Royals at home this year, attendance-wise.
This is also the Royals' first over 3-hour game.
No, excuse me. Third lowest. Third lowest.
Okay.
So
that's some lower.
They did have a 10,015 against the Blue Jays. That was on a Wednesday.
It was a Wednesday day game. Probably a day game. No, it was a night game.
No, it was a night game.
The Thursday was the day game.
Yikes.
And that was the Zach Greinke start too, and an Alec Manoah start. Good Lord.
So
there's a good baseball player out there.
He was in the other uniform though.
Yeah, I know.
So you're taking under 10,487.
Yeah.
I'll take the over.
Thank you for being positive.
Man, look at me. Look, I told you I've turned to Leaf Fulton. I don't care about wins and losses. It's refreshing. It is refreshing. And the best part about it was I didn't make the decision, Fulton.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
The Royals did it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Not with their play, with what their leadership said, which I am not upset at them for it. I'm not. That's what they should have done. They should have done that at the beginning of the year. They should have only put players who can help the team in the future. Right?
Yeah.
Like that.
I don't disagree.
That's it.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Fun fact.
If it was my choice, Ryan Yarbrough wouldn't be touching the mound.
See, I'm all right with Jordan Lyles. You want to know why? Because Jordan Lyles is actually helping the future by eating innings and not ruining arms right now.
Yeah, no, Jordan Lyles,
you know what I'm saying?
As long as he accomplishes that goal. He didn't accomplish that goal in his last start, but when he can accomplish that goal, yes.
That helps.
And normally he has been. That's, but Jordan Lyles is only slightly on my crap
Zach
list.
Greinke.
Yes.
Helping the future by
plus
being like they should be a sponge with Greinke.
And he has been, and he's been teaching them.
And fun because I like Zach Greinke.
Yeah, Zach can stay.
It's kind of like Salvador Perez. Yeah. Like Salvador Perez, fan favorite.
Also, it's baseballs that sound like gunshots are going off.
Yeah, it's great. It's fine. So we'll have to wait and see for the Royals this season.
I'm just really hoping last night was the last time to watch Ryan Yarbrough make a start. I don't know.
We'll wait and see because Daniel Lynch did have a start yesterday.
He did. I need to check out how that rehab start went.
No, don't do that to yourself. Don't wait until he comes up.
I'll look at how Daniel Lynch could have given up 5 runs in rehab start. I was going to go, that's fine. How many pitches did he throw? What were strikes? How long did he let them go? Like, it's a rehab start. The actual counting stats for rehab start mean nothing. They mean literally nothing. There's other pieces to a rehab start. So, Dan could have gotten shelled in that rehab start. I'm not going to cry. But
so we're calling him Dan now?
Yeah.
He's Dan Lynch.
Yeah.
I just want to know what we're calling him.
You can call him Aloysius.
No, I'm going to call him Daniel.
Yeah.
Because that's what
his middle name is, Aloysius.
That's what they call him on the radio. They call him Daniel.
They call him Daniel. Daniel Lynch.
So we'll go Daniel.
I just hope Ryan Yarbrough doesn't make another start for this baseball team again, and I know he's going to, and it's going to make me very angry.
How many what was this? Is it a 1-year deal?
For Yarbrough?
Yeah. Oh, then I don't care about Yarbrough. Yarbrough.
I care about him as long as he's taking up innings on my baseball team.
But is there someone that should be getting those innings?
I went through that yesterday. That was my exercise yesterday. Daniel Lynch will obviously take that spot when he's healthy.
Correct.
I will say this once and I'll say it again. Either Austin Cox or Drew Parrish should be getting starts right now.
Yeah,
their ERAs are both. Austin Cox is, I believe I figured this math out yesterday, was at 210 at AAA. Drew Parrish is under 2 in 4 starts at AAA.
And Yarbrough's not part of the future.
Yeah,
and he's not.
If I am throwing somebody
innings either.
Yeah. If I'm throwing somebody out there to just make starts, I'd rather be a young. Because listen, If Austin Cox or Drew Parrish get shelled, I'm at least learning something. I'm going, they need more seasoning. Maybe they're not part of the future. Yada, yada, yada.
You mean the whole development thing? Yeah, I'm with
no.
Yeah.
I legitimately am getting annoyed with these Yarborough starts because they don't teach you anything.
No.
If a decision is made that at least I'm trying to learn something from it, I'm cool with it. Like, and any of these young, like the 8 inexperienced players that played last night. I learned something from all of them.
Yeah.
I learned nothing from Ryan Yarborough throwing BP in the 4th inning.
I was okay with everything that they did up until last night.
Yeah.
Last night. Now, Yarborough, he shouldn't even be on the roster anymore.
I don't disagree.
Because he's not part of the future. And you've just told me, not you.
I know, they did.
They told me that development matters more than wins and losses. So, Yarborough,
I do find it funny. I want to tell a funny anecdote before we get to our actual scheduled thing for this thing. I was texting a buddy of mine who's a Twins fan last night. We were chatting about our different games because they both weren't going well. I was like, hey, Ryan Yarborough's, struck out 5 in a row and he set down the first 9. And my buddy texts me this before the 4th starts. He goes, man, he's like, that's either going to happen through the entire night. He's going to go like 5 shutout or he's going to go like 5 runs in an inning. Next thing he proceeds to get 5 runs in an inning. He just goes, oh, sorry. I'm like, I knew it was coming too.
Yep. I did have a chance to talk to JJ Piccolo yesterday. When I was in Kansas City. And this is what we had to talk about before the game last night.
April, done, finished. Give me your assessment for the month of April.
Well, it was a tough month, obviously, from a 1-loss record, but I think we got to look at some of the positives. We faced a lot of really good starting pitching. So from an experience standpoint, that's going to be very helpful. Just this past road trip, 4 of the 10 games we faced were against top 10 pitchers in the game. So we have to believe and learn from those experiences. I think we saw some signs towards the end of the month where some of the, offensive approach things that we were struggling with have shown some signs of improving. I think our chase rates were down, 5% on this road trip, again, against good pitchers. So that's a great sign. Our bullpen has been really good. And I think the rotation went through a little bit of a lull, but, guys like Zach Greinke, Jordan Lyles, they're steady hands that will help us, throughout the course of the year. So all in all, I mean, the results haven't been what we would want. But at the same time, I think just the experience, the at-bats, the situations we've been in have been beneficial for our long-term future. So that part we're happy with.
It's tough because you guys have to deal with the process, whereas fans that we listen to and we hear and we get text message in our show, they want results. Yeah. How do you make sure that you go process over results and you don't, press and, the players you can sometimes tell pressing a little bit. Right. How do you keep doing that day in day and how do you deliver that message to the fans?
Well, it is very challenging because, I try to look at our team from the fans' perspective as well. Growing up a sports fan, at certain teams that I really rooted for, and when they didn't play well, I know how I felt. So I try to look at it from that perspective and not just the process perspective. But the reality is patience is what's needed when you have a lot of inexperienced players on the field. So we're going to be tried. That's where the environment that's in the clubhouse, the positivity that whether it's Matt Quatrero or Brian Sweeney or any Alex Zumwalt that they can bring to the clubhouse is going to be sort of the safe space for the players so they can just learn and grow and get better. But we understand fans want to win. The thing that we went through this before, the things we understand, it's not an overnight journey. It's a long journey. And along a long journey, there's a lot of different things that can happen. And the toughest part about any sport is it's really, you got to get 26 guys that are clicking on all cylinders. So when you have a lot that are going through those learning processes, it can be tough. And the wins and losses won't show up until later.
The pressing aspect of it, when you start 7-22, how do you tell them, hey, you know what, it is a long journey. Do you see them pressing at all? Because we know they want it. You can tell that. You can see some of that. How do you try to calm the pressing?
Well, I think what it is stick with the process, and I think what stood out this month was offensively with guys on base and scoring position, you could see the chase rates go up. So really just trying to get the player to understand, what got you here? Why did you get through the minor leagues? It's because your approach was good. You didn't swing at bad pitches. They're going to do it from time to time. But overall, you didn't do that, and that's what got you here. You've shown signs, whether it was last year or even some guys right now, this approach will work. So just trusting and believing in that approach is going to get them out of it. And I also think there's a spirit of camaraderie, or if you want to say it's contagious, it can be contagious both ways, good and bad. Once we start putting together some good at bats, it takes pressure off of other guys. Now it's not, oh, I've got to be the guy. Our mantra a couple of years ago, keep the line moving. It's very true. We don't have to hit doubles and homers, to get out of slumps. We just got to keep guys coming up and having successful at bats, productive at bats. And when they do that, that will take the pressure off the next guy. And collectively, the team will succeed at that point.
You got some interesting news today when it comes to that. I don't know if it's been official. The Royals reported it, but Nicky Lopez had an appendectomy. As a GM, you wake up to check your phone. Yeah. Nicky Lopez probably, undergoing surgery. I've gone through that surgery. Yeah. It's not fun. Right. I can tell you that. Yeah. But that's just another thing that you got to deal with. You wouldn't plan on waking up and dealing with, it looks like Michael Garcia is going to make his appearance.
Yeah. Well, and that actually happened overnight Saturday night. So I woke up to that text at 7 a.m. or so. So the first thing we do, and actually somebody gotten up before me had already looked into it, can we get a player here today? Nicky's not available. Can we get a player? It was a day game on a Sunday. Flights are very limited, so we couldn't even get a player there to be there to be the.
So you had a 25-man roster.
We were short that day, and the way the game panned out, Nicky was going to start at shortstop that day. We were going to give Bobby a day off. But Bobby doesn't get the day off, but we played without Nicky. But the way that game evolved, the situation where Nicky would have had to go in didn't come around. The defensive replacement, a pinch hit, a steal a base situation. So we survived it. We didn't lose that game that day because we didn't have the 13th man. But that's the sort of the ups and downs that we go through. The injuries, the lack of performance, how do you manage those things collectively over 6 months can be challenging, but that's what we're paid to do.
Good news. It sounds like Drew Waters, Daniel Lynch on their way back. Any update on them?
Yeah. The Daniel's actually, pitched today. It was a day game today, a morning game today. He pitched today. I haven't looked at the results just yet. Drew Waters is going to spend 2 more days in Arizona. He had a minor setback, but actually nothing related to his oblique. So we just kept him in Arizona for 2 more days. Anticipate he'll be out in Omaha by Thursday, so he can start his 20-day rehab assignment. So they're 2 guys that we need. We're going to need them at some point during the season, whether it's the second they're available or sometime later this month. We're going to need them. And then I also look at our team, always need pitching depth, but also I think what Drew could represent for us is some positional flexibility, lineup flexibility, switch hit, defense, run. There's a lot of good things that he could bring to the table. So we're anxious to get him back.
Last two for real quick. Very, very simple. Do you know who you got your hit off of? You said your little dying quail. You don't remember that?
I don't know who it was. I should look it up. It was in Oneonta, New York in 1994. So I just remember getting jammed and the ball just bled over the second baseman's head. And I still have the broken bat. It was a cracked bat. So I still have it in my attic somewhere.
One last thing, being, assistant GM, now the GM, what's the thing that you didn't realize that would have happened now that you're the GM?
Well, there's just a lot more responsibility. It's been eye-opening in a lot of ways. At the end of the day, I'm responsible for what's happening with this team, good or bad. And then also just understanding how to gather information, how to listen, and then how to make a final decision. I have a much greater perspective of what Dayton had gone through prior to me. And it makes a lot more sense now because there are so many different opinions and ways of looking at it, putting a team together, and ultimately, I have to make the final decision. So that's been the greatest challenge.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
That's JJ Piccolo. I had a chance to talk to him before the game yesterday, and I'm with you, Fulton. He's getting a lot of heat right now, and it's not really warranted at this point in time because he wasn't the one making the decisions. If you want to get upset at anyone right now, Dayton Moore did not leave the cupboard bare or full. Mike Matheny did not help develop them. Cal Eldred maybe took them a step back. And then John Sherman is not opening up the checkbook. So there's a lot of people who need to be at fault, not JJ Piccolo at this point on May the 3rd. From the text line, Jake, stop bashing the Royals or leave town. Is it bashing if I'm stating facts?
Here's the thing, and the discourse around this, if I am terminally online about one thing, I am way too online for Royals discourse. I see far too much of it. There is bashing this team, and then there's being realistic. At times, Jake, you're my co-host, you're my friend. There are times I think you are a little negative, but trust me, I do not think
you're positive at 7-23.
I know, and that's why I said, I don't think you are bashing this team. You just very much focus on the negative aspects, which is fine.
What I focused on was the wins and losses,
which
fine. I was told they were going to be competitive.
And that's why I wouldn't say you are bashing the team. There are definitely people out there who just have that thought process. Everyone's gonna have their own opinions.
And if I am bashing the team, they deserve it. They stink. They're 1-13.
Yeah,
at home.
We have even for me as the person who tries the best he can to be the ever-present optimist when it comes to this Kansas City Royals team. There's a lot about the team that's bad. As I've said numerous times, there's a lot on the hitting side that I wish we all would be a lot more positive about. And we started seeing it come through last night with the 7 runs because there was a lot of good swings. Bobby Jr. got a hold of one. Michael Garcia got a pair of hits. There were some nice spots to it. It's not, is it me? Am I bashing the Royals when I tell you they have quite literally 2 good pitchers on this team? Is anyone going to tell me I'm bashing the Royals when I say they have 2 good pitchers and they're relievers? Scott Barlow and Aroldis Chapman are the only 2 individuals who I think are allowed to be called good pitchers. I will hear an argument for Carlos Hernandez. Because he's been pretty good out of the pen.
Yeah, he's been all right.
You cannot look me in the face with a straight face and tell me any 5 of those starting pitchers can be called good. Even the great Zach Greinke. Because the fact that he cannot pitch away from Kauffman Stadium means he's not a good pitcher.
This will really lend into that subset of starts really will be true. If he tosses 6 innings and gives up 1 run, that's not a trend, folks. That's
as I keep saying, it's my new phrase with Zach Greinke. It's not a bug, it's a feature. That's what his weird split is. But no, that's why I would not call you bashing. I would say you wanted them to win. They weren't winning. Therefore, it's negative. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not bashing. That's what I like to put out to. Is it bashing when I tell you all out there the Royals have 2 good pitchers?
And
that's not bashing. It's being realistic.
And if you are bashing the Royals, they deserve it. They're not any good. We call a spade on this show.
Yeah.
When you are good,
the team is bad. The team is playing bad.
You. Are people going to be upset if we are just overflowing with compliments for the Chiefs? No,
because they're good.
They are good.
We are not a PR firm for these teams.
No.
So that means if they are playing bad, which right now, like last night, the offense gets a complete pass last night. They scored 7 runs.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing bad to say to you, offense, last night. You got 3 walks off Tyler Wells. He had walked 3 all year coming into that start.
Mm-hmm.
Pitching staff, y'all need to go take laps because that was disgusting.
You don't get the water break.
No, you don't. Ryan Yarborough, Jose Quas, Josh Taylor, go run laps around Kauffman because that was pitiful.
Go run the stadium.
That was absolutely pitiful.
That was bad.
It's a balancing act, and I think to say bashing is a little harsh considering the team is 7-23. They're just not good.
We're going to talk Royals depth chart. We'll also get to Everyone Loves the List and talk with Kellis Robinette. Jake and Fulton, hour number 2 on the way. Thank you so much for joining us. Let us know your thoughts, Royals fans, as we move forward to tonight's game against the Baltimore Orioles. Will they get win number 2 at the K tonight? 6:40 first pitch, 6 o'clock pregame coverage with the Royals Radio Network here on 580 WIBW. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know on the text line, 785-272-9429. Very simple, very easy to get a hold of us. Also, give us a shout on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line. Same number as always, 785-272-9429. We'll talk with Kellis Robinette coming up at the bottom of the hour. Everyone loves the list today. We are going with birthdays when you were a kid. Anything that you loved about the birthday. Okay. Non-presents. Okay. Because that was always the thing that you loved as a kid.
Oh,
so
yeah, of course.
Anything involving the birthday. My little guy turns 3 today. So it was his birthday today. He was pretty excited about it. So we're having a big birthday bash coming up on Saturday. So we're going to go with the birthday theme on today for our list. We're not going to talk about the Royals right now. We will get to them again in the 2 o'clock hour. But right now we're going to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, who are very good at what they do.
Pretty good.
They've gone to the Super Bowl 3 times in 4 years, won 2 of them. Therefore, Patrick Mahomes has a winning record in the Super Bowl now at 2-1.
Take that, haters.
Yeah. What's going to happen if he wins a 3rd and thus ties Troy Aikman when Troy Aikman uttered the terms, he can come talk to me when he has 3 Super Bowls?
His actual words were,
Wasn't that?
His actual words were, come talk to me. He has 33% of my Super Bowls. Because the comment was he had Patrick had gotten 30-some% of Aikman's career touchdowns.
Okay.
And so Aikman said, talk to me, has 33% of my Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes has 66% of Aikman's Super Bowls right now. So Troy Aikman, go stick it you know where.
Or the sun don't shine.
Yeah.
I thought it was come talk to me.
Trust
me.
me.
3 Super Bowls.
I have several people on my Twitter timeline who were obsessed with constantly reminding Troy Aikman of that quote.
Okay. All right.
It was when he said they had 33. Because I think it was Mahomes said 40-some% or something like that of Aikman's touchdowns or something like that. It was something around that nature. And it was before Pat had won his first Super Bowl. And he said, come talk to me. He has 33% of my Super Bowls or something like that.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to get to the Chiefs. We broke down roster spots before the draft.
We did.
All right. Now we're going to break down the draft after, or the roster spots after the draft, plus with the signing of Jerick McKinnon. So we know that you're allowed a 53-man roster. Just how many spots are available as of now on May the 3rd? And it could change, obviously, before fall camp opens up. Just how many spots are available?
Yeah.
Because, we talk about, what's going to happen to the 53? Well, right now, we probably have a pretty good idea who's going to make it and who's not. And if you look at this, boy, the Chiefs roster doesn't have a whole lot of openings.
It's pretty full.
Quarterback, Mahomes, and then either Gabbert or Bouchel. I don't think they're keeping both of them.
No, they're not.
Okay.
They will keep only one.
So there's our quarterback room. Got 2. Running backs. Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They did not pick up the 5th-year option. No surprise there, but he's still on the team. For those people who are like, get him off the team, he's dirt cheap. Why would you get rid of him?
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
You're not getting
dirt cheap, knows the offense, good in a pinch. Yeah,
and I think those 3 are full-on locks.
Yeah,
I don't see how any of those 3 get cut. So I think there's going to be 3 running backs. Tight end, you've got Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, Blake Bell, and Jody Fortson. I feel like those 4 are actually going to be on the team. I think Bell might move into that hybrid tight end fullback role since they didn't decide to sign my guy Hunter Lupke. Wide receivers. All right, you've got Tony, you've got Moore, you've got MVS, you've got Jalen Watson.
You mean Justin Watson?
Justin.
Jalen
we'll get to
Watson is on the other side of the football.
Justin Watson, Richie James, and Rashee Rice. Okay, so that's 6 wide receivers. I think all 6 of them are going to make 53.
Mm-hmm.
Offensive line, you've got Taylor, Tooney, Creed, Smith, and Niang as your starters at this point. And then their backups right now are Allegretti, Morris, the draft pick, Kennard. That's 23 for me. Do you see any difference? Are you not on board with Fortson, Bell? Are you not on board with any of these guys? Because I think I'm gonna be real strong here and go 90% of these 23 guys. 90% of those 23 guys are on the 53-man roster.
No, I feel like you're pretty right and spot on with all that. No, I agree with it. If anything, I mean, you could probably add Prince Tega Monogo to the offensive line room because they do seem to like Prince Tega Monogo. And some confidence that he'll make the roster. But I mean, outside of that, those 6 wide receivers would be the ones I would say are going to be on the roster. There's a couple of guys jostling for the end spots, but I would say those 6 guys are the likeliest to make it. Chiefs, they will probably keep 4 tight ends with Blake Bell taking into the role of the H-back and things like that to replace Michael Burton. Those are the running backs that, Deneric Prince, depending on how, his training camp goes, I think could make a push to join the running back room on the 53 because, it could give the Chiefs more speed.
Mm-hmm.
But no. And then I think they're only keeping one of Gabbert or Bouchel. This is Bouchel's year to become the backup quarterback. Yep. If he can't beat up Blaine Gabbert, I think the Chiefs are willing to risk saying happy trails.
So I've got those 23 guys. Yeah. That means they've got two spots open on offense. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to roll with an O-lineman. Prince Tagovailoa is potentially one of those. Yeah. But if they just want to roll with those 9 and put a couple guys on the practice squad, I got no problem with that.
No.
But I think they want to add one more offensive lineman when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. That is what I do think will end up happening. So I think one spot on the offense that is up for grabs is the offensive line. I think Allegretti's going to be there because he can play guard,
play the interior spots,
but he can also play center.
Yeah.
So I think one of them is going to be an offensive lineman. I think they normally do keep 9 offensive linemen. 8's a little thin.
Yeah, a little thin.
And then I think they either keep 7 wide receivers, add another tight end, or add another running back. I think their tight ends are pretty much set because they don't really have anybody else that
because they didn't add a tight end to the draft. They don't look like they've added any tight ends, anything like that through UDFA, or at least anyone that's a standout point.
So I look at it's either a running back, a wide receiver, or they just roll with 24.
They might, because they might use the extra depth on the defensive side of the football.
So and normally they do try to have 4 running backs. Okay. Now maybe that is the Prince character that they just signed as a UDFA. Maybe that is Pirine or Pirine, however you pronounce it.
Pirine, it's like Samaje.
LaMichael. I do think they will keep 4 wide receivers or 4 running backs. Now, notice I did not say Justin Ross. I did not say Justin Ross. he could be the X factor in this situation, because I look at Justin Ross as they put him on IR before the season started so no one else could get him. They do like him, but then you go out and you sign Richie James, then you go out and sign Justin Watson, and then, of course, you were going to draft one. So maybe they're not as high on Justin Ross, but I think he is in the mix of it. So that's, to me, the offensive side. 2 spots available, but really only 1, because I think they will keep one off. They're going to keep one more offensive lineman. Let's go to the defensive side. Give me a shout out if you disagree with the thought process here. The edge, I've got 5. I've got Felix Enudike-Uzama, George Karlaftis, Amenahu, Dana, and then Thompson, the new draftee out of Stephen F. Austin. Interior defensive line, I've got Noddy, Wharton, Coburn. Linebacker, Bolton, Gay, Tranquil, and Chanel. Or Chanel. Did we ever figure out what that was?
Chanel.
It's Chanel.
It is Chanel.
Okay. Safety, Cook, Reed, Edwards, Bush, and the rookie Jones. Corner, Sneed, McDuffie, Jalen Watson.
There it is.
Williams, rookie Connor, Shamir Connor, and then I forgot about him. I had to add him late. Najee Johnson.
Yeah.
I think all of those guys are pretty much going to make this team.
I just want to add to the math here. I assume you've calculated into the math, but the name is not on the list. You're missing an interior offensive lineman, interior defensive lineman.
Holy Moses, you're right. I did kind of miss that guy.
You know, you're kind of missing the 3rd place defensive player of the year.
Yeah. How did I forget?
I don't know. I did. Bruno, I can see how you did, though, because Inside Baseballs, we're wrapping this up here. Inside Baseball. I've seen this rundown we put together for this entire morning, even into late last night. I've stared at that depth chart list that Jake's made all morning. I just now noticed Chris Jones wasn't on the list. Yeah. So I will give you a pass because even I didn't see it. But yes, Chris Jones into the math as well.
So you add Chris Jones there.
Yes.
So with the draftees, that's 24 guys. You've got 5 edge, 4 interior defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, 5 safeties, and 6 corners. No. That's 24. If you want to go with we only do 25-25, and then 3 specialists, that's your 53. Then we've got 1 spot available. And I think that is either going to be interior defensive line or a linebacker. Now, I feel pretty good about FAU, which is Felix Enudike-Uzama, Karlaftis, Amenahu, Dana, Thompson. I think they're all locks.
Yeah.
Noddy, Wharton, Jones, Coburn. Do you add another one and you have 10 defensive linemen, which they've done in the past?
They have.
Or do you do 5 linebackers with Bolton, Gray, Tranquil, and then Chanel? I think safeties are pretty much set in corners. Now, you can add 2 if you don't add 2 to the offense to get to 50. So, with that being said, they've got 3 spots available. Because to me, they've got a total of 27 positions almost guaranteed. Now, at the beginning of the year, somebody's going to get hurt. We know that in the preseason or in fall camp. That
happens every time.
But as they start fall camp, you'd like to think that they only have 3 spots available. That is it. And I think one of them is going to be an O-lineman. So really, they got 2 spots available. Where else are you putting those 2 spots? Are you adding another running back? Because I think they might try to do 4 running backs. And if they do 4 running backs in that situation, now we're down to just 1. And that's probably on the D line. to get to 10.
I would say if they're adding anything defensively, I think it's defensive line because T. Spagnuolo has been big, especially lately, about wanting to rotate bodies and constantly churn through bodies. And so I think giving him another person to be there. And honestly, you only have one true guy who you would call your big run stopper in Keandre Coburn, the rookie, because he's as wide as this entire studio space. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs see if they can get another defensive lineman that's a big, wide body. That's just, him and Coburn will be like, you guys are mainly here for rundowns to where we need to just stack up the beef. And we got a couple of, T-bone steaks to throw up there in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they think about doing.
But when we talk,
it's a thing to where that's the big overall point here.
Mm-hmm.
The roster is pretty much set. And more importantly, it's set with good players.
Yeah.
It isn't like,
young dudes.
Because that's where the point is, for other teams, they could be like, yeah, we got guys you could make and, say there's only 3 open spots, period. But there's guys who could get beat out for jobs, who could get moved around. A lot of these, that linebacker room is set. I don't know if there's any linebackers going to take one of those jobs. Like Leo Chanel came on, played some good snaps in the Super Bowl. They like what he did. They just signed Drew Tranquil to be a coverage linebacker. He ain't, get pulled off the team. And then Nick Bolton and Willie Gay were just your starting linebacker pair. That isn't getting moved. Brian Cook's going to be your second safety.
Correct.
Unless Brian Cook falls off the face of the planet and Mike Edwards or Deion Bush makes a play or Shamari Connor also does some great safety work. No. That's set. Your corners are what your corner's going to be. Steve Duffy, Watson, and Williams are your 4 corners. And then maybe there's some room for, Nick Jones or even Najee Johnson if he plays a bit of both area to slip in there. This roster's set. And that's a good thing because that's why I talked about it yesterday on the show. Our expectations for these rookies need to be a lot lower because this isn't a rookie class being asked to come in here and do what the 2022 class did and start right away and be impact players. No, this rookie class is provide some depth, develop, be here for 24. And you're able to be in that position because you look at this roster, it's set with good players. It's set with a lot of good football players.
There are 3 spots, and one of them is going to be an O-lineman. They're going to rock with 9.
They will rock with 9 O-linemen.
So you've got 2 open spots basically between offense and defense. And I even think it's more niche on that. It's either a running back, a wide receiver, or it is a defensive lineman or a linebacker. I think, if I'm Joshua Kando, if I am Malik Herring, I am a little bit worried right now about my draft situation or about my roster situation. That's how I look at this. So when we get into training camp, it's not so much fighting for roster spots. It's how do those roster spots look? How do the players look? But also, it really does feel like this Chiefs team is going to keep every single rookie on last year's squad and this
looks like all squad. 7 of these rookies will make it too. Which talk about needing cheap talent to fill out the roster.
Yeah,
because you have to pay guys like Mahomes and eventually Chris Jones and things like that. Getting a back-to-back draft classes, 17 rookies who can all stick on your roster and be something.
Who would be the one rookie off of last year's team that you go, I don't know if he's going to be there? There is one guy who jumps out to me.
See, to me, there isn't one.
See, it's Kennard.
I think there's enough depth. They need depth at offensive line. I think he provides that flexibility. I mean, if I had to pick one, I would agree. But I think he can play guard and he's learning to play tackle. Yeah. Well, he's played tackle. He played tackle in college and he was learning to play guard. The Chiefs like that. They like that flexibility. Right now, your backup guard, you don't have a backup guard beside Allegretti. With this lineup, your other guard is Darian Kennard.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Wanya Morris ain't playing guard.
No.
So that's my thing on Kennard. But I get your point.
Yeah. Coming up next, we'll go a little birthdays. Your favorite thing growing up about birthdays? Everyone loves to list your favorite birthday activities or birthday themes growing up, non-presents edition, because that's like saying who's the greatest hockey player of all time. Come on.
Yeah,
it's the presents.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, what do you got?
Number 4 for me, never applied to me because my birthday is the 3rd day of January, but it's applied enough to my friends that I think it gets included. Getting out of school early for your birthday. I've had plenty of friends who the parents would let them out of school a little bit early to celebrate. That would have been awesome as a kid.
Yeah, I'm a July baby, so that doesn't factor
I'm a
in.
January brother.
Yeah.
Doesn't apply to me.
Yeah. Number 4 for me, pinatas.
Ooh, pinatas are great.
I love a good pinata. We have a pinata for the parties on Saturday.
Pinatas are cool.
Yeah.
Number 3 for me, getting to see hang with a bunch of your friends for a big event.
Okay.
It's just fun hanging with your friends.
Okay. I went way more specific.
That's fair.
Laser tag.
Yeah. No,
I am
yes.
so pro
Laser tag's
laser
awesome.
tag.
Oh, yeah. No,
Loved
I agree.
laser tag as a kid.
No, I'm right there. My number 2 is also laser tag. There's one laser tag birthday party I went to as a kid. It was for a buddy of mine. Great core memory of my life. Laser tag rules.
We had the traveling laser tag coming to our building like 5 years ago or 6 years ago.
All right.
Man, I destroyed everybody.
Yeah,
I took it
awesome.
I took it way too serious.
Yeah, that tracks.
But I destroyed
that entirely
everybody.
tracks.
Destroyed everybody.
Laser
Number
tag
2,
rules.
cake and ice cream. I mean, come on. It's cake and ice cream.
Number 1 for me is simple. It's cake. Nothing beats cake. Cake is amazing. Cake is awesome. I want more cake.
There is one thing that I loved more than anything, and I still love it up until I'm 38 years old now. If you have a party and you're able to somehow connect it with a pool party.
Jake's a pool party guy.
When you were like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, all the way up until now,
fair.
The pool party is number 1. If you could have a birthday party with coinciding with a pool, man, that was the dream as a kid. That was the dream.
Yeah.
Coming up next, we'll talk a little K-State with Kellis Robinette. Here's some comments from Clark Hunt that he had to say last week on Saturday at the draft about the Chiefs' location. That nasty report from the NFLPA from the former players. We will get to that coming up in just a little bit. It is another edition of Start, Bench, and Cut. We have a short show tomorrow due to the Royals baseball team playing the Baltimore Orioles. Hopefully, they'll be going for a series win as they will take care of business tonight. But if they don't, that's okay. As long as Bobby Witt looks good, Vinny, MJ, Mike Hale.
I'm just saying, I was claiming for Michael Garcia for well over a month, and all he did was get 2 hits in his first game, including getting a hit off the guy who literally had not allowed a hit in a month. That's all I'm saying.
Also, this is out today. I don't know if there are any football fans out there. We call it soccer. Saudi Arabia is preparing the most lucrative contract in sports history for Leo Messi. The Saudi Pro League is in talks to offer Messi $400 million per year. What? $400 million per year. Patrick Mahomes makes 50.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Trout makes 50.
I think Mike makes closer to 20 or 30.
$400 million a year.
Yep.
Right now, we're gonna talk all things K-State, and we're gonna bring in Kellis Robinette of the Wichita Eagle and the Kansas City Star. We haven't talked with Kellis for a little bit. Kellis, how about you making $400 million per year to play soccer? How about that, my man?
Yeah, sign me up. Where do you want me to go?
Wherever you're going to pay me $400 million. And I'd only play 1 year. I'd play 1 year. Okay, I took my check. I'm going. Holy cow. That's just, that is ridiculous. Kellis, how have things been as we gear up for a little bit more of the, I don't want to say it's the off season because there was kind of a big announcement yesterday that involved Kansas State that had you pretty busy. But this is more of the calm period for you, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's calm, it's quiet. There's no games to go to. We're not traveling to all parts of the country to watch the Wildcats play. So it's a little slower than when football and men's basketball is happening. But one of the biggest misnomers in all of sports journalism is that people like you and me are just sitting around twiddling our thumbs for 4 months between the last basketball game and the first football game. There's still plenty going on. It's just a little bit more in the background, and there aren't fans watching everything. But yeah, there's still plenty to do, and Kansas State's recruiting. There's all kinds of stuff happening.
And speaking of the recruiting aspect of it, the transfer portal, Jerome Tang got a good one. Mr. Perry from North Texas went to Coffeyville Junior College. Fun fact, he has played some ball here in the Sunflower State. He's going to Kansas State. He announced his decision yesterday. Take me through the decision for him, the player they're getting, and how big of a deal is this for Kansas State?
It's a pretty big deal. They really needed to go out and land a big fish at the guard position in the transfer portal with both Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson departing this offseason. I know there's a slim chance Keontae might come back if his draft stock falls between now and the end of May, but as of now, I think you have to operate like he's gone. So without the two best players, without the two best scorers, you needed to add some scoring punch to the roster. And they got that in a big way with Tyler Perry. He's not an exact carbon copy of Marquise Noel. He's a little bit taller, doesn't send out the ball quite as much on assist. He's not quite the same facilitator, but he's a heck of a scorer, and he does know how to get his team involved. Last year at North Texas as a senior, he helped the Mean Green win 31 games, win the NIT while averaging 17.3 points, I believe 3.1 assists, and maybe 4 rebounds per game. So a great all-around player. I've watched his highlights. I've gone back and watched some of his games. He can shoot from deep. If if you don't guard him and he's on the logo, he'll shoot from back there and make them. So in that way, he's like Noel. But otherwise, he's really good at using screens to get open, make threes, even with a hand in his face. And if you let him attack the basket, he's pretty good at finding cutters getting to the rim. So they found their point guard as of yesterday. Bart Torvik, a really good college basketball statistician, had a running list of the top available college basketball transfers in the country in terms of the production they gave last year, the production they would be expected to deliver next season. And the very number one ranked player on that whole list was Tyler Perry. So for him to choose Kansas State over Texas Tech, where his old coach just went to, Ole Miss and Florida, pretty good get for Kansas State. I really didn't see a better guard out there for them to have. So this helps them quite a bit going into next season. It's a very big deal for them.
Why Kansas State, do you think? What's the connection there? Because it was rumored that he was going to K-State a while ago, and they just he made the announcement that he'd been thinking about Kansas State for a bit. So what was the connection? Is there a coach? Is there something that he has said? What's the biggest reason there?
Well, the big thing is that the guy who recruited him to North Texas out of Coffeyville is as an assistant on Kansas State right now, Jareem Dowling. Jerome Tang hired him from North Texas to come here. So he recruited him to the D1 level out of junior college. They have a great relationship. And Kansas State, I was a little surprised initially when Tyler Perry announced he was transferring. Kansas State wasn't. He didn't even actually make his initial top 8 because at that time, not that they didn't want him, but they were looking at L.J. Cryer, who Jerome Tang had coached at Baylor. They were looking at Max Amos, a very, very skilled guard out of Oral Roberts who went to Texas. They were looking at a transfer from Houston who ended up going to Arkansas. So they were maybe just focused on, they had their focus spread. They were casting a wide net. And once some of those other players went elsewhere, it was like, all right, we'd have been happy with any of these guys. Tyler Perry is one of the guys who's left, so let's put all our energy on him. And as soon as he did that, it was really interesting. He went from pretty much, when he gave recruiting essays, he went from off the board to Kansas State #1. And he gave a really good quote yesterday about how once he got on campus and was touring stuff and he got around Jareem Dowling, his old coach again, he pretty much told him, look, you can just quit with the whole recruiting spiel. I love it here. And I don't know, last week, if you maybe saw it, but Jerome Tang and all their coaches, put out a bunch of stuff on social media inferring that they had gained a commitment behind the scenes, and that was most definitely from Perry. So he told them several days ago he was coming. He just wanted to wait until yesterday to announce, because I believe North Texas had a big celebration in Denton about them winning the NIT this season, and he wanted to be part of that before he moved on and turned the page to his next school. So as soon as that was over, he committed to Kansas State, and he just really respects Jerome Tang, Jareem Dowling, feels at home here, wants to go out a winner at the highest level. So, he grew up in Oklahoma. He's played college basketball in Kansas. So I'm sure this is, kind of a goal fulfilled for him to play in the Big 12 now.
That's great info when it comes to the connection there with Kansas State and Perry. We're talking with Kellis Robinette, does a fantastic job covering the K-State Wildcats. All right. Max Asmus, the Oral Roberts guard, were they at all into it? Was it simply Texas, K-State, and he chose Texas? What were you hearing about that?
That was a weird deal. There really wasn't all that much, loudly about his recruitment. For a while, it looked like maybe he was going to choose Kansas State. Then for a while, it looked like he was going to choose Texas. Then for a while, actually, I heard that behind the scenes, Wichita State worked real hard to make a late push at him, put together a nice NIL package for him. And I believe if he was just in it for, the money he could make in 1 year going to college, I think his best opportunity was at Wichita State, playing for Paul Mills, the coach who coached him at Oral Roberts, who's now with the Shockers. So I think it might have come down to Texas and Wichita State, not Texas and Kansas State, just because of NIL opportunities. But in the end, he did pick Texas. I think it was a bit of a coin flip between all three. I never got a great feel either way, which way he was leaning. But I think it might have swayed things one way or the other. But once Tyler Perry became more of an option for Kansas State, I think they were definitely fine taking either. And once he went to Texas, I think there's no mistake that Tyler Perry almost immediately committed to Kansas State. It was, all right, right, well, if I don't have to split minutes with another really good incoming guard, I definitely want to go there. So I kind of think that's how that happens.
So are they pretty much done, you think, when it comes to the portal? They lost, Ish Massoud. Has he announced where he's going yet?
He is not.
Okay.
He is touring He's touring Georgetown today, though. I believe he's been to New Mexico. He's been to Fordham, which is in New York, really close to his hometown. He's been to George Washington, and now he's looking at Georgetown. So I think he'll pick between one of those four. Georgetown is a pretty appealing option, you would think, because that allows him to stay at the high major level and play pretty close back to New York. That's in the D.C. area. So that would be cool for him. As far as Kansas State recruiting the portal, yeah, they're going to keep looking. Jerome Tang's made it clear that he really wants to load up on transfer players this year to take a little bit of burden off the incoming freshmen they have. They don't want to put too much on their shoulders next season. So I still think they'll try to find one more guard. I think they'll probably try to find a wing. They might wait on that just in case Keontae comes back. Like I said, I think he's gone, but if he's going to be better than anybody they could bring in, so it makes sense to at least wait until that door is completely closed. And they'd also like to bring in a versatile big man. And some of those entered the portal late in the process before the window closed. So I think they'll be doing some late shopping and maybe add some guys May or even June if it comes to that.
How big has NIL been in these recruiting of these players?
I mean, it's a big deal. I can't tell you, exact numbers or whatnot, but some of the rumors I've heard about, the Michigan transfer who's been looking at Kansas, Kentucky, and all these places. I've heard the NIL money that's been thrown at him is just outrageous. Everybody kind of turned their heads when they found out what Nigel Pack was getting in Miami. I assure you, this guy's making quite a bit more than that wherever he ends up. So it is for the very top guys in the portal. It can be a spending spree, and it's kind of interesting from Kansas State's perspective because while they're certainly, helpful and willing to give players some guidance and help them out with NIL deals once they're on campus, they're also not the type of coaches are just going to say, look, we got to hook up over here for six figures to sign on the dotted line. Jerome Tang's made it clear that he would much rather have players come in who are worried about playing right now so they can get to the NBA and make their millions later than right this second. So I think that's why I've seen some people, wonder, well, why hasn't Kansas State already loaded up on transfers yet? I think that's part of the reason because some of these transfers are in the portal for no other reason than to just see how much money they can get at the NIL circus. While, like I said, Kansas State can be competitive in that area, it's not their main recruiting pitch either. So it's just kind of interesting, school to school, how they all differ in that stuff.
Let's go to the football side of things. How many more practices does the football team have, or are they finished?
They are done. They didn't have a spring game or anything, but their practices are wrapped up. They've already had exit interviews with everybody after the spring to see where everybody stands. So three additional players have left and entered the transfer portal. And I think so that gives them 82 scholarship players at the moment. And they'll try to figure out if they want to add any more incoming guys before the summer practices start. But yeah, that's where that's.
Anybody who's of note or basically backups or, far down the depth chart?
I mean, no, like all conference players decided to leave. There was a linebacker who came in and played last season, who had kind of fallen down the depth chart, who didn't want to fight it out and see if he could make it back up. Cornerback Omar Daniels was one of the players who decided to leave, kind of the same situation. And then they lost an offensive lineman who was not in the rotation. So three depth pieces basically decided they wanted to start over elsewhere.
Staying with the football side of things, when you look at what K-State had, they had four guys drafted, two drafted very, very high, and two really not NFL prospects when they got to K-State. And then one, Deuce Vaughn, I mean, he ends up at Kansas State, turns into a machine, and if he was 3 inches taller, he would have been probably a second-round pick. How does that kind of resonate, you think, and helps with recruiting, knowing, hey, that photo of Felix Enudike-Uzama next to Connor Riley, I mean, he looks like like a 16-year-old kid in that photo. And now he's, a first-round pick. And same thing for Julius Brents. Like, hey, he was this long-armed, incredible athlete, but they coached him up. And then same thing with Hayes and Deuce Vaughn. I mean, that's a pretty darn good, resume for Chris Kleiman and his staff about developing talent.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And people are already saying that Cooper Beebe might be a first-round pick next season if he has another good year. So people for a long time made a huge deal about how Kansas State had that streak under Bill Snyder and Ron Prince about sending at least one player to the NFL for, 20-plus years, whatever that was. While that was cool, it was impressive and everything, a lot of those years it was just like one 6th-round guy, one 7th-round guy. Not really all that big of a deal. I think this year is much more impressive than a long streak like that, because you had a first-rounder, you had a second-rounder, you had 2 other guys late, you had just a wave of players getting undrafted free agent deals, and I think it really shows more than anything the developmental capabilities that Kansas State has in place in their football complex. Because you're right, a guy like Felix Anudike-Uzomah, I remember when he signed with Kansas State, he was an extremely late addition. They just basically, no one else was recruiting him. Weird story. He was so down in his recruiting prospects. He was about to go to Missouri to study journalism. And Kansas State swooped in at the last minute and said, you know what? Don't go there and be a regular student. Why don't you come over here and be a football player? Turned out to be one of the best signings they could have ever made. But I remember when he signed, I saw him on the list. I'm like, this really lightweight defensive end, he's never going to play here. So he really stunned me how much he developed over his time. And I think there's no better selling point to a recruit than, you can come in here, you can be walking on, you can come in here and be an unheralded recruit, and then you can become a first-round draft pick in the NFL. That's what I would want to hear as a recruit. Sure, NIL money's great, facilities are great, all that stuff, but if you can get me to the NFL, that's got to be the number one driver. And Kansas State is proving this right now, because they sent a lot of guys to the league this season.
All righty, last two for the road. Very simple, very easy. I'll go with a simple question. Will the Bat Cats make the NCAA tournament?
I think they do. I was on the fence about them until this last weekend when they won 2 or 3 against Texas Tech. They're in the top 25 now. Still not given. They got to get their RPI up a little bit, so they can't go on a losing streak. But I think they've done enough. I think they'll find a way to keep it.
Alrighty, last thing. You've done a lot of the birthday parties as a dad, but also as an individual. What is the best thing about birthdays, setting what you do, non-presents? Because presents are obviously were the best thing when you were a kid. But what was that for you? What was the number one, thing that you did that were involved that you loved about birthdays?
Well, I mean, you took away the headline of their presents, but saying Christmas Day, what do you like most other than the presents? I'd say the activity. If you go to a super lame birthday party where all they've got is like pin the tail on the donkey, or I remember once I went to a birthday party where the main attraction was a piñata, but the piñata was like made of steel, and nobody, even adults at the party, could crack it open with an aluminum bat. So I mean, you talk about like a real disappointment. No candy for the kids or anything. That was a bummer. But yeah, when you get invited, like go-kart racing, or somebody takes you to a K-State game, KU game, Royals game, whatever, that's where it gets to be a lot of fun. So I'd say the activity.
Kellis, we appreciate the time, my friend. Have yourself a great rest of the week.
All right. I will say I went to I had to go to a friend's birthday party, a little kid's birthday party the other day, where it was mud seat, where it was just kids playing in mud, and that the kids did like it, but it was paying on the parents because everybody came back very dirty. So don't do that to your friends in the future.
Kellis, I will take that. We appreciate it, my friend.
All right, see you guys.
Kellis Robinette of the Wichita Eagle and the Kansas City Star on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line. Coming up in the 2:00 hour, what does Clark Hunt have to say about the Chiefs facilities, the NFLPA report being so negative? What's the latest with the Chiefs and the Royals at the Truman Sports Complex, plus a little start bench cut. And we'll talk a little Royals before we end it off in the 2:00 hour. Mike up with Jake and Fulton on this Wednesday. We'll hand it off to the guys on 580 Sports Talk. And then it's Royals baseball tonight. We'll preview the Royals and the Orioles tonight. Game number 2 of the series. The Royals lost yesterday in a high-scoring affair, 7-11. It will be Kyle Gibson versus Zach Greinke. Kyle Gibson pitched for the Twins. If I remember correctly, Fulton, he destroyed the Royals, if I remember correctly.
With the Twins, yes.
So look up the splits. We'll get to that coming up at the bottom of the hour.
Well, I'll happily look these up.
I don't know if you want to happily look them
I'm a strange individual. Well, I'm a strange individual. We know this. I was trying to word it up. I'm a strange individual. We all know this. Baseball splits fascinate me, whether they're good for my team or bad for my team. Baseball splits fascinate me.
Yeah.
So I will.
You can get into some wormholes on that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you really can. So we'll get to that coming up here in just a little bit. Start bench cut coming up as well. I do want to mention this because I don't care. I really don't. And I don't know why so many people do care. I really don't. But Patrick Mahomes' brother got arrested today. And held, his mugshots up there and all that. Well, like, people are like, that's like the number one story right now in sports. What the hell is wrong with everybody? Who cares? Is it Patrick Mahomes?
Yes, it's because he's
no,
Mahomes.
No. Is it Patrick Mahomes?
No. Mahomes himself is not.
Then I don't care.
Okay. But that's why.
Like,
it's by association, he is associated with one of those famous people in sports right now.
So if, like, Leo Messi's brother got in trouble, like,
it'd make headline news, especially in Europe. It'd make a lot of news.
I don't care.
And that's fine. I care along the lines of, I hope that kid gets the whole book thrown at him. Like, I care along the lines of, he's a creep. What he did was disgusting. And I hope he is, summarily punished by a court of law.
Yeah, dude, whatever.
But no, I'm not going to, like, follow it closely.
I don't care.
No.
I don't care at all. But man, people.
If you are in any way associated with a celebrity, your entire life is immediately now more well known.
Yeah, I just don't.
That's how it works. That is how it works.
No, I just don't know why people care.
Because he's in Mahomes.
Yeah, but he's not the one that matters.
Because the fame of Patrick. I mean, there was the whole blow up thing about his TikToks. Like, because he is Patrick's brother.
Do you care?
It matters. No, like I said, I care along the lines of, I hope he is summarily punished. Like, when I first heard the story of what happened, I was like, I hope Jackson gets arrested. And now that it's happening, he's getting charged. I hope he is summarily punished and gets the full extent of the law thrown at him. That's the extent I care is the extent I care anytime some creep does a really bad thing and I want them punished.
Yeah.
Like, I care to the same level as if you was Jim Bob down the street getting arrested for this crap. And I'd be like, good, I hope you get, every ounce of the law thrown at you. I don't wish any higher ill will towards him because he is Patrick's brother.
Yeah, I that's the sort of stuff that just doesn't resonate with me.
Well, buddy, you are not as celebrity obsessed as a good chunk of this country.
That is true. That is true.
Like, it is rooted in Americans' obsessions with celebrities and celebrityism, for lack of an actual term.
Yeah.
So it's all rooted in.
That's not me.
America, man. It's a fun place.
That's not me. Clark Hunt spoke to the media and didn't really need to get to it at the time because we wanted to talk more draft and everything. But when he spoke to the media, he was pretty candid and about certain topics and certain questions, not so much in other areas. But Clark Hunt was asked about the NFLPA report. We've talked about this, that it did not have glowing remarks on the facilities. It did not have glowing remarks on a few other instances with Rick Burkholder and everything. And we heard what Andy Reid had to say about that. And Andy Reid basically said, yeah, why are we going to invest in something where we don't know if we're going to have it very much longer? Matt Derrick has touched on it, that the Chiefs, they've outgrown their facility. They need to keep up with the Joneses, but they just need space. So this is what Clark Hunt had to say about the report on being so negative towards his franchise. And this was by the players for the Chiefs.
So we were surprised by some of the negative things in that report. I've heard reports that at least some of that survey was taken earlier in the year, and there were some things that were subsequently changed even before we were aware of the report. I'll be interested to see it this coming year. Nobody likes criticism, but from my standpoint, feedback's always positive, and so we'll take it and learn from it.
So what are they doing different now? because of that?
So I think one of them related to the travel accommodations, including the aircraft size. There was a time during COVID that we were forced to fly smaller airplanes, and only recently have been able to go back to the bigger airplanes. So that would be an example. One thing that I think's corrected. Another thing that was similar to that is providing babysitting services at the stadium for the players during the game. We had to eliminate that during COVID, and we will bring that back going forward. So those are examples. And then things related to the facility. I think we've all been thrilled to be in this beautiful training complex, here for the past 16 or 17 years. And it's hard to believe that it's already, aging. But it is. The league continues to grow, the staff continues to grow, and we certainly have to figure out how to accommodate our needs going forward, not only with the stadium, but also with the training facility.
That's good info. Like that's what you need to get out there. Some of it was COVID related. They're bringing it back. So that is a positive situation when it comes to that and the players. What about the Royal Stadium, but on a Chiefs perspective on how that is going?
It is, and we do stay in communication with the Royals. That they've been going through a process, receiving some feedback from some community events that they've done to try to get thoughts from the community on what's the best direction for them. Truthfully, we've not focused on it a lot, since the playoffs started. We got busy with that, and then Super Bowl and that, now the draft. But we'll turn our focus back to it, and we'll work with the Royals from a timing standpoint, because obviously the two of us have a partnership here, and we've got to make a decision that's good for both franchises.
So kind of bland, kind of boring, but keeping up to date. What about the benefit? Does it hurt or benefit the Chiefs if the Royals do move?
I don't really think that it's worked to our disadvantage to have them as partners. I mean, this sports complex is special, and there's certainly enough space here for both franchises. They haven't made a final decision on where they'd like to go, but I know they're looking at some sites around downtown. And if that's the decision they end up making, then we'll have more flexibility to do something here.
Very vague. But what about Arrowhead? Plan, stay, go. What do you look at?
We feel structurally that the building has an opportunity to go further. And that was part of the evaluation process that we've been through over the last couple of years. We're still trying to make a final decision between a renovation and a new building, but at least we know at this point that it's an option if we'd like to renovate Arrowhead and keep one of the greatest traditions in pro football alive.
Clark Hunt is a man who knows how to say something but not say anything there. But I look at that
experienced man in the world of politician answers.
I look at that as you don't bring up a new building if you're not
at least considering going to a new building.
Even more so than that. He did say, what does it benefit or hurt the Chiefs? Well, it benefits the Chiefs because they have more options.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is Arrowhead a lot like, is Arrowhead like Lambeau? Because the three oldest stadiums are Lambeau, Soldier Field, and Arrowhead.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the three oldest stadiums in the NFL. All right. And we know that Soldier Field, there's a good chance that's
the death clock has started on Soldier Field.
Yes. Is Arrowhead essentially like Lambeau?
No.
You don't think so?
No. Not the same place. And Chiefs fans, I'm one of y'all. I don't mean disrespect with that. They ain't the same building. There's a different level of history associated with it.
Because you have to ask yourself, Wrigley,
Mhm.
Fenway,
Mhm.
every other ballpark in Major League Baseball. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, like
No, I agree.
that's what you have to look at.
I agree.
If Arrowhead is that historic, then it becomes a much tougher discussion.
Mhm.
But if you think Arrowhead is just a building, or hey, we had some great times in there, then I think it maybe is much easier to move on. So I think Clark Hunt has played it very, very close to the chest on what their plans are. It really does sound like, hey, we can renovate Arrowhead for enough years till the Royals move out, we demolish the K, and then we can build our building right next to Arrowhead. But I still wonder if the Chiefs don't want something more around it. A part of me feels like we have had, and they have had, the Chiefs and Royals have had ample opportunity to build up around it, and it never has. I'm wondering if it ever will, because that's the whole hope, right? To have their own Chiefs Kingdom area. The only reason why I say that's still a possibility where they're at is because of the current success of the Chiefs. They've never had this kind of success since the early 70s. Well, in the 70s till now is very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes me go, okay, when the Royals move out, the Royals are going to be in their new ballpark by 28, probably.
More than likely.
So can you play at Arrowhead until 28? You bet, of course. So, and then you got another 2 more years to build it. Can you play at Arrowhead for another 10 years? It sure sounds like it. But they still want more, because that's what those the front office and the ownership want for the Royals to have their own kingdom, their own Wrigleyville, right? I mean, and it's got the perfect name, the Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do it there?
I think you can.
If they weren't, if it was just status quo, team wise, as it was in the 90s and in the 2000s up until 2017, then I would say there's no chance, and that they would have to move it and then create their own entity, and maybe they still do that and they create their own entity, the Kingdom, around their practice facility. Maybe, and this is, and I've thought about this a lot. Maybe this is where the Chiefs create their own kingdom with their practice facility. The grass fields. Maybe they even build their own little indoor facility. They got everything around it, bars and everything, and then that's where they have training camp, and that's where the facility is. And that's where they build everything around it. And that becomes the Kingdom. And they keep Arrowhead where it's at. Much like the Star in Dallas, right? That's where the 49ers. That's where the Cowboys play. And that's in Frisco. That ain't near Arlington. I wonder if maybe that's the route that they go, because their training camp is just a year by year type of situation up there in St. Joe. I wonder if that's something they go, maybe we create the space to have people in for Chiefs training camp. We can charge whatever we want to in that situation, since it's on our property. We're not dealing with the University of Kansas hospital that's in their facility. They can put bars and restaurants, and they can own everything there, have a hotel. But I still think having the stadium there is it's your big, what's the word I'm looking for? Like that's the main horse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's your draw.
So I don't know. I mean, this is, I can see them leaving. I can see them staying. I can see them doing the whole kingdom aspect away from Arrowhead. Man, they got a lot of big decisions that are going to end up affecting a lot of people here coming up.
And the first domino to fall is the Royals officially moving out.
And
that's the first domino to fall.
I think that's going to happen.
I do too.
If the vote is a yes and if the vote is a no, they're in Kansas City.
Yeah,
I do.
I think the Royals will find a way, even if the vote is a no, to get moving. Because that's just what they want to do. And when ownership wants to do a thing bad enough, they find their way to accomplish it. No, that's the first domino to fall as the Royals move out. And then it's get a couple big wrecking balls in there and take Kaufman down to the studs. And once that happens, you build your new Chiefs stadium right there. But the Chiefs are going to build a new arena. They're going to build a new stadium. And it'll be right next door. And Arrowhead's nice, and it has a lot of history. It does. It does not have, that name does not have the cachet that like Lambeau has. It just doesn't. At least in my opinion, and I could be wrong. I could be very wrong in this, but to me.
I think Arrowhead has a lot of local passion.
Yeah.
But I don't know if national.
It doesn't have and that's my point. Like it doesn't have the national weight.
Yeah.
Like locally, oh yeah. Locally, when the call comes down from Clark Hunt that Arrowhead's gonna be destroyed and they're moving out, because if they move out, Arrowhead's like they're not just moving out and move next door. They're gonna move next door, then Arrowhead's not going to exist.
No.
Like they're gonna put something else there in that lot. That's going to rub some people the wrong way.
Oh, I think it's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way.
And like, and I get it. Like I have a lot of very fond memories of Arrowhead. Like when the renaming has happened and it's now officially GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium, like, you know, people were up in arms about that. The amount that happened. So like, I'll get it. Like when that happens, people are not going to be happy. Fact of the matter is, Chiefs want a new state-of-the-art facility. Because then, depending on what you do when you make it, you can get more things. I don't blame them.
Yeah.
What I really wonder if they make a new facility is, do they stick some kind of a roof on it? Does Kansas City want a Super Bowl?
What about a rolling roof?
That's what I want. No, I believe straight up, I think the Chiefs should actually put on their new stadium when they build it, because I think it's a when, not an if. I think it is a straight up when they decide to build the new one. I think they should put a retro roof on it.
What if they have something that rolls over the K and then over Arrowhead? Like, that would be plans?
Really cool, but also plans? Crazy.
That was like way back in the day where they're gonna have something that could roll over the K and then roll over.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah. Bro, like I honestly, because I think Kansas City seems to be wanting to grow in its place as a spot to host big events. I honestly could see the city wanting to try and host a Super Bowl one day. Mm-hmm. You don't get to host one if you're not either A, in perfect weather, or B, got a roof. You got to have one of those two criterion. Kansas City in February definitely ain't perfect weather, which means they would need to put a roof on that.
They did have the Super Bowl in New York.
It's different.
I just wanted to.
I think. I know. Well, you're correct. Like you're not wrong, and that's the exception that proves the rule. But we all know that's a little different.
They did that because it was Super Bowl 50.
Yes, that's it. Well, but and I think also. I mean,
I'm with you. Though.
I know. And also, I mean, the Chiefs have a quarterback with the arm of like 3 howitzer cannons. Put that in a dome constantly. Don't let wind affect Patrick Mahomes' throws and see how many yards he throws for.
8,000.
Yeah.
Coming up next, we've got Start Bench Cut here on Mic'd Up. little edition of Start Bench Cut. I'm going to stay with the birthday theme today. All right.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Start bench cut when it comes to birthdays. Okay. Really, really simple. Cake, ice cream, pie.
Starting cake, I'm benching ice cream, I'm cutting pie.
You love pie.
I love pie. Pie's not a birthday treat.
Okay.
Pie is a holiday treat. Pie is not a birthday treat. I know we're getting really deep into semantics with that. I will admit that. We're deep on the semantics train with that. Pie is for Christmas. It is for Thanksgiving. It is for whatever holidays you may celebrate.
So you can't have pie like if I go home tonight.
Well, okay.
Not tonight, because tonight's a bad example.
I know.
It's a birthday. So February 6th, I can't go home and have pie.
If you want pie, you can have pie. Like, that being, like, if I could go home and have cake tonight, I have cake.
I mean, we normally don't, though. You normally save cake.
Exactly. Well, you normally save pie. Pie needs, like, and I'll go on that, because pie is like a good picnic dish. Pie is not a birthday food.
Then I'm gonna make a change. Then we'll go cake,
okay,
ice cream, and then the candy that you have at a birthday.
I'm still starting cake. I will never not start cake. Cake is the best. Still benching ice cream, still cutting candy.
Okay.
Ice cream's growing on me. It's grown on me as the years have gone on.
Okay.
It has.
Cool.
But no, nothing will ever beat cake. Cake is fantastic. Cake is perfect. I don't get how anyone out there could not like cake. I immediately question what's wrong with you. Unless you have a dietary restriction, that's not your fault. Like me and ice cream. It was a dietary
Is
thing
there a
for
big
while.
difference to you between the cake, like an actual cake,
Mhm.
or the cupcake?
No, because for the most, except in very specific circumstances, because for the most part, what you need to make a cupcake is the same consistency of batter you use to make a cake. There are times that it is different. That's really getting into the weeds of baking there. But for the most part, they're pretty similar. Cupcake, just smaller cake. Both fantastic, both perfect. Both a treat that I will never say no to. Like, Jake, if you ever offer me a cake or a cupcake and I say no, I want you to find a way to tie me up because an alien's taken over my body and I'm not me.
Oh, so that's your...
That's my, like, the joke. So, like, what tweet would you send out to let everyone know you've been kidnapped? Mine, for, like, if an alien ever possessed my body, would be if I said no to a cake or a cupcake.
Okay.
Well, I'll put a caveat to that unless you offer me carrot cake. And then, no. Not a carrot cake guy.
From the text line, tell my sister-in-law pie is not for birthdays. Nothing makes her happier than when I present her a homemade pie on her birthday.
And that's okay. I'm not telling you all have to think like me. No, please, none of you think like me. My brain is a mess. For me, pies aren't a birthday thing. But if that's what you want, it's totally fine. Just like Jake, if you want to go home tonight and your family for dessert today wanted to have a pie for dessert, go for it.
No, I'm with you. I think pie. It's
more of a holiday thing.
I'm with you on
to
that.
me. That's just my opinion.
I'm with you on that.
And at Lula, NFL Draft Quarterback Edition for you today, Jake. But not the quarterbacks you would think of. Will Levis, Hendon Hooker, Jake Haener, otherwise known as the first three quarterbacks off the board after the first round.
I don't even know who Jake Haener went to what NFL team. That's how lack of care I have about that guy.
Wow. Disrespect to the Fresno State legend.
Where's he going? Who drafted him?
New Orleans.
Okay.
He'll eventually supersede Derek Carr.
So I'll go start Hooker. Bench. I'm gonna bench Will Levis, and then I'll cut Haener just because I have known nothing. I'll go with the guy who has the better who got drafted higher.
Okay, that's fair. What if I did this to you? Hendon Hooker, Will Levis, Stetson Bennett, who was selected one pick after Jake Haener.
Same thing.
Okay.
And
you know Stetson. You can't apply the same rule as Stetson.
I know Stetson Bennett.
Yeah.
I don't know where he's going.
Rams.
Rams.
Man, you just did not pay attention to day 3 if it was the Kansas City Chiefs, did you?
No, I did, just not quarterbacks.
These are 4th-round picks. That's the first round of day 3.
Yeah, that was a terrible pick by the Rams.
Oh, no, it was. Stetson Bennett in the 4th round's far too high.
Yeah. No, same situation.
Okay.
Bennett goes last.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm cutting Bennett.
Okay. The Georgia did that too, and then he came back and won the national title. So pretty good thing to start by cutting Bennett. That's true. Titles. He should enunciate the S.
I will say this: he didn't really do a whole lot in the most recent one.
No, the most recent one he did a lot. The first one he did. Stetson Bennett's last year at Georgia, but he played some football.
No, I'm talking about in the title game. I could have went out there.
Oh, okay. I see your point. Like, we could have quarterbacked Georgia to 50 points on that TCU defense.
Yeah, all you got to do is
okay.
All you got to do is hand the ball off and throw it out to the flat to Bowers or to Washington. And the defense didn't even allow TCU to get past the 50-yard line except for that first drive or second drive, whatever it was. No, in the title game, it was against Bama.
Their first one?
Yeah. He balled out there.
He played well, but that title was more on the fact that they had a literal NFL defense. Like an actual, I'm not kidding, 11 players were going to the NFL
That's
defense.
kind of wild. Yeah.
Second one, though, man, Stetson Bennett had a good last year. Good for Stetson.
Yeah, the overall season, he was very
Stetson was fantastic.
Yeah, he really was. Coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, the Royals, and their season is over. And we'll explain coming up next.
Neighbor.
some transactional moves that we have to discuss here for the Kansas City Royals. The Kansas City Royals have moved Chris Bubich to the 60-day IL, which is not a surprise because he's had Tommy John surgery. So that opened up a spot on the 40-man. In order to be on the 26-man, you got to be on the 40-man. Well, they had 39 guys on the 40-man. That 40th man is now... Is he your boy?
He does not get the title of my boy because, one, I don't want to curse him. Two, I've not been on the train long enough to get to claim him that way.
Okay.
I'm a recent joiner to the bandwagon, so I do not get the right to call him a boy. I've not been on the wagon long enough.
Still Max Castillo's your boy?
I don't know if I have a Royals pitcher as my boy right now.
So you're a free agent.
I'm a free agent.
Okay. All right.
Because, I mean, Max, it's all not going well for all of them.
Okay.
Well, Chris Bubich was my guy, and then he got Tommy John.
Well, then you didn't declare dumping
I
Max
know, I
Castillo.
should have. Either way, that's probably why Chris
Austin Cox is now up with the Kansas City Royals. Jose Cuas has been sent down to AAA. So those are the moves. In order to get Austin Cox on the 40-man, they had to ship Bubich to the 60-day IL. That doesn't count to your 40-man. And then they moved the 26-man roster spot from Jose Cuas to Austin Cox. Austin Cox more than likely is going to take over for Ryan Yarbrough. Yarbrough's still going to pitch. He's just going to move back to the bullpen. But Austin Cox more than likely will be starting. Again, this is brilliant. Smart move by JJ against the A's.
He would. You are actually very correct.
Yeah.
Because then if this all happens the way I think it'll happen to be 1, 2, 3, 4, he'd start on Sunday. If all of my math is tracking. Now there is, and if they do it this way, I'll be a little annoyed, but I'm not fully against it. They could technically bring Cox up and use him as a bullpen arm. He's made 5 appearances for Omaha this year. 4 are starts. So he's done work out of the pen before. I think long term that actually might be his best spot. But I would personally give him a couple of runs. Personally, what I would do, and the Royals probably won't do what I do, mainly because they know their team probably better than I do. But I'd give Cox a couple starts till Daniel Lynch is healthy. And if they don't go well for Cox to start, I just throw him in the pen when Daniel Lynch is back. I just say, Cox, you got like 2 starts while Daniel Lynch is working his way back. If you pitch well, we'll figure the rest of it out. Because honestly, if Cox pitches well and Brad Keller continues to not be able to know what a strike zone is, Brad Keller goes to the bullpen and Daniel Lynch takes his spot. Like, I get Brad has a 3.56 ERA, best among starters. That's cool. He has an exact 1-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. He has walked 24. He has struck out 24.
Yeah, it's not great.
That is unsustainable.
Correct.
Either way, I'm happy. I'm in a good mood.
I'm in a good mood because the Royals have told me that wins and losses don't matter this year anymore. And I'm glad we got to that spot. Because at the start of the year, I want them to care about wins and losses. And they told me they cared about wins and losses. So therefore, the number one thing for me with this Royals team, be competitive. And being competitive is being 500 through the month of April, is being in it. That's competitive to me. All right. That's where I was very, very angry with the Royals. They were not competitive. And when you start the season, unless you can clearly see that they are in a rebuilding mode, right? That's why in 18 and 19, wasn't a big deal. They didn't have the players, right? When Houston decided to just tank City and they had nobody, you weren't expecting them to win. Same thing with the Baltimore Orioles for like 5 years. They did that. Well, this year the Royals were expecting more. We were, and at least I was. And it did not happen, and that's why, to me, it was very, very frustrating to see this baseball team start out 7-22 in the month of April. We gave the deadline of 22 games, or The date was May the 12th. All right. That was a 22-game stretch where they weren't playing the greatest teams. How are they going to do? Well, they're 3-10 in that stretch. But yesterday, JJ Piccolo said this when he always speaks to the media in the dugout, start the homestand. And this is what he said about the Royals' season and development.
So when you look back at the month, at the record, we're not excited about it. But I think we know this year is about evaluating and just trying to get better every day.
If that is the situation, he just said that it matters more about development than wins and losses. And if that is number one, then I am okay with that because your team is 7-22. You're not in the thick of it. You're not in the mix of it. So be it. But now I know the expectations for the Royals front office is not the same as mine. And I think those need to be in step. If the Royals are not expecting to win, you should expect the Royals to win. Now that the Royals have said.
So when you look back at the month, at the record, we're not excited about it. But I think we know this year is about evaluating and just trying to get better every day.
So now, last night, that was said before the game. Last night was a success because wins and losses don't mean anything. This is about development. MJ Melendez had a nice day. Bobby Wood had a nice day. Vinny P continues to hit the baseball well. Nick Prado is looking much better. Michael Garcia looked well. Anything and everything that the Royals do now is for the future, and those guys are part of the future as it stands on May the 3rd. So now, today, if Zach Greinke gets smoked, don't care. If the Royals lose 9-0, don't care. Does the Royals help going forward? They're playing Michael Garcia. That's a bonus. That's the future. Bobby Witt's in the lineup. Vinny P's in the lineup. MJ is now playing strictly outfield. They're not putting both outfield and catcher on his plate. That's a lot, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Also goes to show you how much of a unicorn Shohei Ohtani is. They are putting guys out there that are going to help for the future. That's step one. That's how I'm going to look at it. I'm going to look at more so development among individuals and not as a team, because this team right now is 7-23. They're virtually eliminated from all postseason appearances, virtually eliminated from all contention. So I'm not putting my eggs in those baskets anymore. I am now invested in individuals and how can they get better so I can cheer for my ball club in 2024, day one, and they hopefully get off to a better start and they can be competitive next year. That is where I'm at, and I feel like I'm at peace with that.
I'm glad you're finally here. Take you long enough.
Well, I want to win.
I know,
and I want to win. And I flip,
and I get that. And
but
that,
it's just the order. Your order is different than mine. My order was winning matters first. At the start of the season, unless I was told that this year is all about 2024, then I wouldn't have cared to begin. It would have been much different.
And I get that.
And that's my order. Then the order was development.
Yeah.
That is now flipped.
And now it's development, and then it's winning.
No, well, the winning's not even in the
and here's the thing. Like, and this is, I guess, the thing I've been trying to get across. Not just like you specifically, but in the larger scheme of things. The Royals were never to start the year going to come out and say, we're trying to develop this year, we're trying to evaluate this year. Yeah, like they were always going to lead off by saying, we're trying to win. Because every franchise is trying to win, unless your name is the Oakland Athletics, and then you're not trying to win because John Fisher's a terrible person.
But we knew that we knew that the Astros, we knew that the Orioles were not trying to win. They weren't trying to feel like, but like the Royals went out and they signed Zach Greinke. They went out and they signed guys.
And I know, because they were trying to do both, which is, I think, the proper thing to do. Like, these teams that are rebuilding and teams that are trying to climb their way out of the cellars, I think that's the right way to do it. Is you're both trying to make moves to help you win, but you are still focused on evaluating your talent. Because at the end of the day, we say this a lot, this is a results-based business. Like the Royals, even JT Piccolo saying, we're development and evaluating talent is what he's looking at. He also did tell you 7-22 isn't where they want to be at. Even in the process of they do want to develop and evaluate, they do still want to win ball games. Like the Royals will only deem this year a success so much if they get all the development they want, but if they still can't get wins, that still makes a level of the season a failure to them. Because yes, if the year ends and Vinny, it looks like he's going to become a perennial top 5 hitter in the American League, and Bobby Witt Jr. finally can start hitting a fastball, because apparently he doesn't know what those are and has never seen them in his all years of playing baseball and doesn't know what they are.
That's a problem.
It's really weird. Like he figured maybe, MJ Melendez turns into, a above average right fielder and is cranking home runs left and right. Everett Olivares starts hitting in the 290s. Michael Massey learns to not strike out every second at bat. Maikel Garcia becomes an absolute stud on the left side of the infield. And you think that Garcia and Witt together might become, what the next great infield tandem. All those things, Brady Singer figures it out. Austin Cox pitches well. Daniel Lynch becomes the number one. Even if all those things happened, which I will also tell people who want the wins. When I say that development and wins and losses aren't mutually exclusive, what I mean is you can be looking at development and take positives away in a game that you still lose. But there is a way that they are tied together. If this team develops how they want them to develop and they get better as they should, winning happens. Like, winning is a byproduct of proper development. Part of the reason the Royals have been floundering and losing so much is their development has been bad. Like, good, why the Astros all of a sudden started piling up wins? Actually, not Astros. Why the Orioles all of a sudden this year have 20 wins in the first 29 games, rather 20-9? Because the development worked. Like, they lost 100 games last year, but the development started kicking in. They started getting a lot better players. Now, like I've said, I think the Orioles will regress at some point because some of their guys are a little bit above their skis. But the development came first. The development worked. The wins follow. So that's where, I get that everyone's tired of the losing. If they do develop properly this year, though, wins follow development. That is not a me theorizing. That is a concrete history of baseball fact.
And that is true.
It's just unfortunate development has to start this year because they screwed away 4 other years.
And it's not,
and that's where I think the anger should be directed.
And it's not so much that I don't care how great they develop right now. If we're talking about the grand scheme of it, and that's winning to me, I'm sick of developing. The grand scheme of it's winning. If they do start winning and developing, doing all that, it ain't gonna matter. They're so far in the hole that's not gonna happen.
It doesn't matter for this year, but it matters for next.
Exactly. That's why I don't care about wins and losses anymore.
And that's fine
because they are eliminated. Yes. And JJ said that yesterday, and that gives me. I will not care. You will not hear me now. That doesn't mean I'm still not interested in the Royals. I'm just interested in a different aspect of it. You will not hear me say, gosh, the Royals lost again. No, it won't. You'll hear me say, man, everybody that's part of the future of the Royals stunk today or stunk last night. Wins and losses don't mean anything anymore for the Kansas City Royals. They are fully on to 2024, which means every single decision they make should be for 24. Every one of them. If you ain't a part of the team in 24 or the future, you're not on this team. End of discussion. There is no other reason that you should be on this team. Coming up, we will wrap things up with the mic drop. What do you got?
Very simple. Royals, please just do something good today. That makes me less sad.
They did. Austin Cox is up.
They've done that. Now do something good on the baseball field that makes me less sad.
Mine is, man, I got a 3-year-old. My son turns 3 today. That is incredible. Feels like we just left the hospital. When they say time goes fast, it definitely does. My little man is 3 years old. Can't wait to celebrate this weekend. Coming up next, we got 580 Sports Talk and then Royals Baseball.